Because you can get like a 79 GRE, which is like a very, very, very base level 7900 graphics card. It's like just a naked, a no frills feature graphics card.
Erica, hi, welcome to the show. Glad to have you here. Erica got good questions. Erica says, hi, I just want to know, I have an iBuy PowerPC and just want to know if the 350 graphics card is good. Or 3050, sorry.
So the 3050 graphics card is definitely on the lower end on the NVIDIA side. Now, it probably can play a lot of games at 1080 at decent frame rates, but I usually recommend starting with the 60 series. Now, if you don't have room in your budget and that's all you can afford, you're definitely going to be able to game on it. But it's probably something you're going to want to upgrade in the future.
There we go. I see you playing with a box full of cables there, bud. What you playing with?
This is our fan hub. So depending on what type of fans you go with, some fans we call basic fans. Those plug into a basic 3-pin, 4-pin fan header. And then the other type of fan has a proprietary header that would require a hub. And with our Game DS ones here, we're plugging all 8 of these bad boys into one hub here.
Nice. All right.
Yeah, most RGB fans are going to have their own proprietary connector, like Zach was saying. So for Game DS, we use a lot of Game DS here, but it's by no means the only brand that we use. So we have this Game DS box, so like you couldn't plug these into any other fan controller. Now there are ways to take an RGB cable out of this and sync it with other brands of RGB, and we have done that. But it is nice when the brands all match up and everything plugs in nicely together.
The 7900 XT is the 20 gig and the XX is the 24 gig. There we go. You're very welcome, Erica. Shauna asks, does the fan hub only take up one slot? How many hubs can you install?
That's a good question. So on this fan hub right here, it is an 8-fan hub. So we can put 8 fans into this. Now we do builds with more than 8 fans. So if this was a larger case like an O11 or an NV7 or something like that. We push pulled, we would need another fan controller box, and these do come with a cable that you can daisy chain them together. So it is seamless. When you press the button on the remote and you have 2 controllers, they will all change at the same time. The important thing is you can't do like 4 fans on one and 4 on the other. You have to fill up the primary one first. So this is an 8-fan controller, so we would need all 8 on this, and then any extras would be on the secondary controller.
Nice.
And that also is is a difference too, like depending on like the Game DS. We like Game DS because we can control everything with a remote. We can go through all of our different modes, whereas like we sell thermal takes and Fantex and Lin Lee fans. I know the Lin Lee stuff and the thermal take stuff does require software, so there are a couple of fans out on the market that you do get software for, which does allow for more customization if that's something that you like, but also know that you'll just have to get all that set up, which we take care of in our testing when we test.
Speaking of things that are tested, let's test our knowledge of screens and monitors, because Tool Talk, I see what you did there, says, was looking at OLED curved screens. The screens from Samsung, what would you suggest?
Odyssey.
Yeah, the Odyssey is really nice. OLED is great. I've just, I shouldn't say recently, it's been probably 3 months now. I've been using a 1080p curved monitor that's a 32-inch over my 27-inch 2K. I've got my 2K monitor as my side monitor now, and I've actually really liked the curved. When I do, I've just been testing it out, but when I do buy a new monitor, I will probably go with a 32-inch curved, but I will make sure it's at least 2K or higher. Yeah, it is huge.
I liked my 27 curved. 27 curved was like perfect. That was my era of size. I thought like 30, I had a roommate and he had a 34.
Jeez,
that's big. Way too big, because he was still doing like triple monitor. I'm like, with that you don't need triple. That is triple monitor,
right?
But yeah, so I like the curve aspect a little bit. It kind of gets you in a little bit more.
It is cool.
For me.
Combo said something funny. Now with the 3090 OC and the processor look here, that's not something I really usually have to worry about. The only things I really ever have to turn off or turn down is the ray tracing, because again, it's a 30 series, so it's second generation. No, first it's second gen ray tracing, and the third gen is leaps and bounds ahead of the game. Speaking of things that are ahead of the game, things that you don't want to wrap around your head are called cords. Just like breathing in plastic bags, that's why there's warnings. But you know what? Let's talk to Paul, because he's got something with cords that looks like it could be swung around in a medieval environment and used to be a gladiator. So, what you got?
So this is our power supply. This is the Kratos M1 750 watt 80 plus bronze from Game DS. This is a non-modular power supply. So what that means is all of our cables are pre-soldered in. So we won't be plugging in all these cables because they're just not needed for this build. And that's the case for most non-modular power supplies. Typically you're going to have some extra. This case has a good area under that power supply shroud we were talking about earlier to tuck all the extras. So what I like to do is get this out of the box, get all the stickers off and all that good stuff, and then untangle these cables a little bit. They will come out of the box a little bit tangled up, so if I can get them straightened out, it just makes Zach's life a little bit easier.
Two things. First off, that whole cable mess reminds me of exactly what happens when I wrap up, my headphones, a little earbud with the corded, not wireless, corded headphones.
90s headphones.
And then they come out in a knot, and it's a knot that not even a sailor could put together, because then you spend like 20 minutes trying to undo it without breaking the headphones. Just nuts. And then the other thing was, what do you do with the leftovers that you're not using? Do you just cut them off?
Yep, just snip them off at the base. No, don't do that.
That is
what we're going to do with that,
joke,
so we're probably going to have some extra SATAs. So you'll see Zach bundle these up, and then in front of the power supply, there's a good compartment where we can take this bundle right here and just tuck it away.
Brian, I think it's Grise or Grease, asked a good question. Is the 4060 compatible with the Ryzen 5 5600G and a Gigabyte B550 UD AC motherboard?
Nice. Yes, that will be compatible.
There you go. I see. Now, one of the things that we want to focus on here is the fact that we've got not just an RTX 4060, we've got a PNY RTX 4060 Ti. This has got 16 gigs of RAM. Tell us a few things about this card that make it different than the stock standard 4060.
Yeah, so like you said, this is from PNY. It's the Ti, 16 gigs of memory on this. So this is going to perform better than a standard 4060. Now, this is a dual fan model. This card is relatively smaller, so we won't need an anti-sag bracket. It doesn't weigh a lot, but we'll go ahead and get all the plastic and stuff off this and give you a closer look.
There we go. Now,
Caution.
Yep.
You're about to gain.
Yes. Caution. When you open this, please don't scream. So, oftentimes we see there's a balance between 2-fan and 3-fan variants of cards, because if you get it from NVIDIA Direct, like a Founders Edition, it's going to be stock standard. But how would you say, the other retailers, the other partners get to make their own frames and things and try and customize it just a bit. One of the things that we always take a look at and keep in mind is how heavy. That is increasingly awesome every time you do it.
That was for you, Temperance.
If it's too heavy, it can cause issues with the motherboard. So, Paul, let's start by talking about the weight. You're holding it in your hand. How does this feel?
This is a light card, yeah. This is not heavy enough to require an anti-sag bracket.
A what?
An anti-sag bracket.
What the heck is an anti-sag bracket?
Good question. I'm glad you asked, DJ. So what an anti-sag bracket does is, as these cards get larger and heavier, they start to sag in the system over time. So typically, if you're looking at the side of your case, your video card is going to be laying in there like this. Well, over time on the heavy ones, this side will start to sag down, and that can cause damage to the card itself or the slot on your motherboard. We've seen slots on the motherboard get completely ripped off the motherboard. So you definitely want to avoid that if you've got a heavier card. So an anti-sag bracket will support this side of the card as well. So good way to protect your system.
Nice. All right, now we're getting this out. So as far as the number of ports on the back of this thing, this is the standard. You've got your HDMI and 3 display ports. Now, some cards come with extras. Why?
There could be a bunch of different reasons. You could have like on a workstation where you don't need like a powerful video card, but you need a lot of monitors. So you can buy a card specifically that's got extras there. There's some good options that have internal ports for like a VR setup or something like that.
There we go. Nice. I will say when I hooked up this place because I was doing some green screen, doing some mocap work for a game, and then was VRing in here. Yeah, I was very happy to have had the ports on the back of my other system. Mm-hmm. Yes. Do you have? Oh, good question. Magic 86er says, "Do you have an example of that bracket?"
The anti-sag bracket, we might. You got an anti-sag bracket over there, Zach? Or actually, we got one in here.
There.
Good question. So a lot of cases nowadays come with one built into the chassis. So this NV5 comes with a really good sturdy one. Now this mounts directly into the case. So I'm trying to do this so it's angled at you. So this arm right here is we can adjust this. That way it will support up and down on the GPU. And then there's a set screw right here. If you've got like a larger card, you can loosen that, and then this arm will extend or retract however you need it.
Nice.
And then yeah, there's the Leon Lee one. Looks quite a bit different. So this is the Leon Lee one. So this will mount onto your motherboard like how we were installing it. And then when you get your card in, you can put this little bracket on here and adjust it up or down for your video card. So there's a lot of good ones out there. Typically now.
Just remember that using an anti-sag bracket is always preferred. Please don't use packing tape to try and affix the side of your card to the roof of your case in hopes that it won't come undone, because let me tell you what, it will come undone and the tape will get stuck in the fans and it's going to make a horrible noise and everybody's going to freak out.
Experience
I'm not speaking
spoken.
from experience. I'm just saying, don't do it. Don't want to do it. Don't do it. All right, now we've got 4 fans aiming in. We've got the back 3, and then we've got the one on the bottom. Fully clear pathway. There are 3 out from our radiator, plus our rear exhaust on the back side. But because the radiator will reduce slightly the airflow, we've created a positive pressure environment. Paul, what's the difference between positive and negative pressure when it comes to PCs, and why is it important to even think about?
So the difference is with the positive pressure, you have more air coming in than you do leaving the system, and then the opposite for a negative pressure. So you'd have more exhaust than you do intake. The reason we want to go with a positive pressure system is because all the air coming in will go through all the right filtration on the case. If we have it set up in a negative pressure where we have more exhausting, it creates a vacuum inside your PC, and then it can cause dust and a whole bunch of stuff gets sucked in through all the little cracks and crevices in between the side panels and whatnot.
Did you just order your computer, Zaddy? All right, now we're going to get this in here. Now, this is going to be a 2-slot card, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yep.
There you go.
This is a true 2-slotter too. Our heatsink, our fans don't stick out past those 2 slots.
Oh, good.
So that's nice.
I'm going to get a little card placed in there.
Whoa, that's cool. That's like big print right
16
there.
gig.
That's a first.
Yeah.
Bam.
Oh, wow.
16
Yeah.
gigabits.
Nice. Add a little decor, a little writing. So, Lissandro, sorry if I missed this. Is this a customer computer? This is actually an internal test build. We wanted to show off the brand new design on the case, which is going to be fun to look at. I dig it. I dig it a lot. Now, this graphics card, obviously being the 4060 Ti, it is a powerful card, but it only takes an 8-pin power supply. Compared to what? Like, what are some of the requirements that other cards do?
On the other cards, they could take 2 8-pins. I think a single 6 plus 8 is kind of gone, but that was common back in the day. And then on the really high-end cards, it's the new 12-volt high-power connector on the NVIDIA side. So the high-end NVIDIA cards will take the new connector, where it's just a single cable, and then the high-end Radeon cards will typically take 2 8s.
There we go. Combo says you guys should do a giveaway. I know you might have an extra M.2 laying around, like an Evo 990, please. Who knows? What I will say is that's knowable. Knowable? No. You know what? I'm not even going to try that. Paul, can you walk through? There's a couple of features on this case that are fun because they are how you connect things to the case and your motherboard. What are those?
Are we talking about our front panel options?
Yeah.
All right. So on our front panel for our case, now we say front panel. This one is obviously on the top. We're just so used to saying front panel that's what we do. We've got a couple USB Type 3s right here at the top, and then we've got a Type C under that. We've got a headset and mic port. Obviously, our power button is right here, and then they've put our reset button kind of recessed. It's this really small button right here, and the reason they've done that is so you don't accidentally hit that or have your cat step on it or something like that. And then there's a couple other buttons.
How that works?
Your RAM definitely just snaps in. It's pretty easy to go. Just make sure you